The hour grows late, and people searching for interesting YouTube content write to my YouTube channel to seek my new videos. Is that not why you have come, new subscriber?
Hey all you Lord of the Rings fans! Here I am, Alexander Malinin, also by my pseudonym Oporantisis, talking about Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. Mainly one of the more sort of interesting antagonists of the franchise, Azog the Defiler. Now this character, although very intimidating, for me is quite underwhelming. I'm gonna explain why Azog, to me, everyone has their own opinion, and you don't have to agree with me. It's just up to you. Why, to me, he seems not to be a good villain. I enjoy him, but he's probably one of my least favorite. And here I want to explain my opinion, why I think he could be better and how he could be improved. Now, when I judge villains, I always split them into two categories. One is intimidating because the character is interesting. These are characters like Loki and maybe Davy Jones, although he is a bit more into the other category, which I'm going to talk a bit later. But it's those kind of villains like that are like Grand Moff Tarkin, that are very clever and they're threatening and intimidating because they are so interesting. They have those points of view. And the other category is intimidating because scary. These are the villains which do not have much character development and mostly are threatening only because they say some very scary lines or look scary or just everything, but do not really have the ability to shine as much as the people of the opposite category. So, Azog, unfortunately, falls for me right onto the intimidating because scary, while Loki is on intimidating because interesting. Loki is not by any standards scary, at least for me. But the thing that makes him interesting is his jokes, his point of view, his understanding of the world, and basically just how sort of this how a cocky villain he is, how much, and that's why he shines. Azog, on the other hand, all he does is he wants to reach one goal, which is obviously kill foreign Oakenshield. Yes, foreign Oakenshield. And that is his only motivation. And whenever we see him in these movies, he's either just giving out orders, taking orders, or saying some a bit cliched lines. I mean, seriously, I have created a montage of all the dialogue that he has, and it's really like he doesn't have those lines that really make you not understand him, but view him and like his personality because it's interesting, but rather him giving out some really scary and threatening dialogue. Now, to conclude this video, I would like to compare Azog to another big and scary villain, Thanos. Now, realistically, I can't really compare the two, since they are really in different situations. Because I didn't see Avengers Infinity War yet, I can't really judge Thanos much on his character. We only saw little bits and pieces of him throughout the MCU after credit scenes and scenes in movies like Guardians of the Galaxy. So the setup and the situation is completely different from Azog's character. So I can't really judge them fairly since they both have such a different sort of appearance and the way they were handled. But I'll try to be as fair as I can to compare the two characters by sort of, as fair as I can. I'd like to start with Thanos and take the scene where he gets the most screen time of all we saw so far. Well, I didn't see Infinity War once again, and we don't have good footage of that. So this one is from Guardians of the Galaxy. And although Thanos is acting very similarly to Azog, simply saying scary lines and delivering kind of cliched and a bit of like a lot of orders dialogue and giving out orders, saying how bored he is, but there's something about Thanos' scene that makes him more interesting. Perhaps sort of this setup, how he is how he was built up in the previous movies, but even in this one, how we don't see him straight away, and when he appears, he always steals his screen time because he's so interesting and is given in small doses, but this is the difference between him and Azog, which I referred to, which doesn't make it completely fair to judge them. However, his dialogue is always delivered in a very strange and effective way, which Azog's dialogue is, but isn't as interesting. I think that Thanos, there's just something special about him. There's just something very entertaining, intimidating, interesting that Azog, although lacks because Thanos has so much more. That's why you can't compare the two, but if you had, that's exactly what I would say. Azog, on the other hand, just as I said, he doesn't really have interesting scenes. He has them, yes, truly, he has them. I love his interesting scenes, but he couldn't grasp as much attention to himself as Thanos did and entertain me as much. He isn't as interesting. I liked the scene where their last battle was, especially after he was drowning in the water in Battle of Five Armies, and I did enjoy his first introduction when he kills his evil henchman, like the cliched thing, which was done really well. But overall, I can't really explain it, but Azog really doesn't earn so much of my excitement for the character and isn't as intimidating and doesn't have that ability to shine like Thanos has. So in conclusion, Azog is certainly an interesting villain. However, the reason he isn't on my top list of the best villains, like the 6 best villains from some movies, you can check that out. I have a video of that. But, the thing is that Azog he is an interesting villain, but he is not as interesting as he possibly could be. Because again, I'm repeating myself, because when he could have had more precious screen time with more something interesting and unique dialogue, he just either gives out orders or something, which is interesting, but I think he gets too much of that and too little of dialogue that actually gives you chills and makes you excited for how the character is sort of shown throughout the series. Thank you. This was Oparensis, and I am out. And subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell to stay up to date with all my new videos, and also like that button. Like that like button. Click that like button. Okay, thank you guys. Goodbye.